Big up, big up, big up, big up, big up, big up. Welcome to the Liberal 12th Man Show. I am the Liberal 12th Man, and we're going to be doing a really fun show today. We're going to be doing basically a nice little breakdown. I'm going to be hopefully going on to Ansman's TV, so be sure to look up Ansman's TV if you have the availability to check out the show. He's going to be doing a fun quiz, and I'm hopefully going to be able to get on there and chop it up and see, hopefully get a couple questions right, not make a fool of myself. But big up to Red for Life, big up to Ansman TV. I see you in here. Nigel, I see you as well. And Dustin, I see you. Big up. All-time World 11. Okay. For right now, Dustin, we're going to be just doing the Prem. I wouldn't mind doing an all-time World 11, but for right now, this is why there's a reason why I particularly went for this 11 or this center back premier focus, and that was because I was on I guess YouTube, and I was watching a clip. And I was listening to Jason Cundy speak on our Fulham matchup, and I don't think I'll be clipped up because I'm not playing the footage or anything like that. I'm just going to play a small clip just so you get a pretense of what he had to say, and hopefully you can hear this. It's give me a 1 or a 2. Make sure that you can hear this. Hopefully you can. But I'm going to play what it was that Jason Cundy said that kind of sparked the interest in me putting together this all-time center back pairing, or all-time who gets into this center back pairing of the all-time Prem 11. So I'm going to play this here. Let me see. Hopefully, again, if you can't hear it, tell me early so I can make sure I can try my best to make sure you hear it. But I'm going to try to give this clip to give you a play. Hopefully you can hear it. Oh, no. Shoot. Okay, you can't hear it? Shoot. All right, so let me give you I'll try to break it down for you. Basically, Jason Cundy says that he thinks that Virgil van Dijk is overrated. He basically says that he gets nowhere near his starting 11 or his all-time Prem 11, much less is even on the list of all-time 11. Sucks that you guys can't hear it. I know I can't. Basically, it was on TalkSport. I know TalkSport is basically very big, outlet of, obviously sports talk over in England. Jason Cundy was basically saying that Virgil van Dijk is overrated, and that he was basically criticizing his performance against Fulham, and he was basically saying how he doesn't make it anywhere near his starting 11 or his all-time. He didn't make his all-time Prem list. Like, as in, he doesn't even make his top 5 in his Premier League list of center backs. And it really, obviously poked a button on me to say, like, not even the top 5. That made me say, wow, that's questionable. But he went on to go and say how he doesn't make the top. He mentioned Sol Campbell. He mentioned Jason Terry. He mentioned all these different types of things. Now, I see Dustin's asking, who's Jason Cundy? Jason Cundy is I believe he's a Chelsea fan. You can all tell me if I'm correct or wrong on that. But he's on TalkSport. He's he does shows. He's actually very animated, and he has a prime time slot when it comes to their broadcasts. And I wish I could get. Let me try one more thing. Let me see if I can do one more thing. I'll see if I can get it on here. But it was just interesting. It was very, very interesting to hear that. And it made me go, all right, I gotta bring it to the people, you know, I gotta bring it to the Mighty Red Army and try to get an analysis of what you guys think is and should be the center back pairing for an all-time Prem 11. Okay. We're not gonna necessarily do a top 5. We're just gonna pick who you would think would be the best center back pairing, okay, of all time. And of all time for the Prem. I know. I'm surprised you guys don't know who Jason Cundy is. I thought Jason Cundy was like someone that was, someone that was pretty well known over in England. I mean, I've seen a bunch of him on these Talk Sports clips. So that's very interesting that you guys don't know, or a lot of you guys don't know who he is. Let me try one more thing here. I'm going to see if I can't get this. Okay, I'm going to try one more time to see if you guys can hear the audio. Okay, and then hopefully you can. And then I'm going to pull up here. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to try pulling this up one more time. Again, if you can't hear the audio, just give me a 1 to say you can hear the audio and give me a 2 if you can't hear it, or just say you can't hear it. And if you can't, hopefully it's pretty early in the clip, I'll be able to like just, abort mission and go from there.
We're going to be getting Klopp and Silva.
Okay. Let me try one. All right. I'm going to bring it up right here. Okay.
Do you know he can do this, Van Dijk? He sometimes puts in displays where you go, that's a bit rubbish. That's a bit rubbish for someone to
defender's terrible.
Yeah. Not only do you head the ball in a direction that you don't want to.
You're not having Van Dijk, though.
Personally, I think he's overrated. All right? I don't think that he's anywhere near the levels consistently of the likes of Sol Campbell, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand. I don't think he's anywhere near that level, personally. He's had, 2 good seasons? I know the injury, people will go about the injury he picked up against Everton during COVID. It was it's a terrible injury for Pickford.
Yeah, but you're saying that he was doing it at Southampton and Celtic and John Terry Rio.
Well, I think that's fair,
for a long time.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that he's top class, but I don't think he's in that. I don't think if you put an all-time Premier League team together, he's not in that team.
He's not in it.
Team top.
No, he doesn't make
nowhere near it.
Well, he's obviously in the company. No, he's nowhere near it. No,
he almost went there.
He can't get any
two
positions.
22. 2 teams.
Well, leave that with me. You've thrown it at me there, right? Well, I'm having Sol Campbell ahead of him.
Vincent Company?
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
Tony Adams?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, Tony was he was early Prem, right?
Jason Cundy?
Yeah. Oh, without question.
Yes, it is. It is.
Question.
old Welly over there.
But you look at the goal that even once the ball's gone into Williams' feet, Tony's back. I don't know. I just sometimes I look at some of his defending. I'm not convinced that is the level that JT, Rio, Sol, personally.
All right, yeah, no, you can have your say on that. Let's go.
So hopefully you guys got it good. That was basically what sparked my interest in this topic. And JK, yes, that is Jason Cundy. And that's what pretty much just sparked my interest in this. And I was just like, really? He was almost close to saying, no. And then he pulled back and said, nope, not even in the discussion. So I was going to just bring up some of these things. This is some fun takes as to how and where we can kind of get, a sense. And again, obviously I have my bias. I think there's some bias in our chat, of course, because a lot of us are Reds in the chat. But there might be, who knows, maybe we have our stalker, our Manchester United stalker in the chat, or maybe we have, a Newcastle fan or someone else in the fan or something like that. Yes, I know, Dustin. That's what's very interesting, right? So I'm gonna bring up this. So let's just go on here. So I'm gonna just start off. First off, I'm gonna start off by just going through the honorable mention. Let's just take that. Let's just. I'll show that first. I know sometimes you want to go into the names, but I figured I'd give an honorable mention so you can figure out these names just were good, but just didn't make my final cut. And I'm sure some of them might make your final cut. That's why I'm going to show originally so that we don't go towards the end and you say, oh, where's this person and that person? Okay. So yeah, so I had as honorable mention just to start off. I had, this, I think, well stated and well put together list of players, somewhat that are just, probably wouldn't make top 5. Some might not even make top 10. And it might be some arguably that they're just too early in their career, like a Saliba, or maybe they just don't have enough of a resume with maybe a John Stones. I did put Ruben Diaz, so I put him in there. I put Thiago Silva in there. Certain players like that. I put a Colo Torre. I always put Jamie in there. This was kind of the listing that I had of just honorable mention. These are the people that were good, but I don't think made the cut. They're good. I don't make the cut. I would. Is there anyone in this list that you guys think should be in there? Yes, big up, Chunk, big up. Is there? Am I being harsh by saying that they're just honorable mention and they should be in the running? I have. Let's see how many candidates I have. I have one. Let me double check here. Wait, hold on. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 candidates. I have 8 finalists on my list. Okay, and these are the ones that didn't make the final 8. I think, and you know what? Someone else should be on there. Most probably is Tony. I don't know if I put Tony Adams. I think I might have missed out on putting Tony Adams. I thought I put Tony Adams in my final 8, but Tony Adams probably would be honorable mention. But he'd be top of the list, probably right above, if not right below, Jamie Carragher in billing. You know what I mean? That's at least my opinion. Again, I'm really, really open to hear you guys' opinion on that subject. Let's see. It's a few mistakes. He had VVD. Nigel saying it's a few mistakes VVD has made recently. We all make mistakes. No one is perfect, but VVD is the real deal. Believe him at being Nigel. I agree with you on that one. Let's see. Dustin says, no, my mate was a gooner and is 41. Agreed. VVD is the best he's ever seen in all leagues ever. And he said it easy. Wow. Okay. Nigel also says, not biased. He's a wind-up merchant. Yeah, he definitely wound me up by that comment, man. I mean, I heard that comment. And I was like, what the? You know what I mean? I was just like, huh? Oh, wait. Okay, let me see. Can I hear this too? He's a former Palace and Spurs defender who didn't win anything. I got you. That being Jason Cundy. So just so you know. But yeah, I agree with you. Red for life. I agree with you. Tony Adams definitely deserves a solid shout. I only put a list of 8 on there, and I do have someone representing Arsenal on the list. I do have someone representing Arsenal on the list. It's a pretty interesting list, I would say, because it's got a good selection of different players on there to be represented. I mean, obviously, I didn't even put Jamie Carragher on that list. I think I rate Jamie Carragher very highly, but I don't think he's top 8 in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So let's just have fun then. Let's get into this because I don't want to give any spoilers away. Let's go into this. So this was my 8th. This is in no particular order, by the way. This isn't in any particular order. I just put these together. Let me make sure you all understand that this is not in any order. This is just, just random. I just put the names in there just as I put the slides up. Okay, just so you know. Okay, so our boy Sami Hyypiä. It's amazing to look back the last decade and see the impact that this Finn has had on Liverpool. That's at least in my opinion. He was a rock at the back. He was consistent with his presence through both good seasons and bad, which was really, really telling. I mean, like, there's some players that play on great teams, and there's other players that play on bad teams and shine. Sammy played on both. He was a very, very good player on both, like good teams and bad teams. But he always had very, very spectacular performances, spectacular levels. It's a shame, obviously, that he never won a Prem, but I don't think that should take away from his stature as a player. There were times when he looked absolutely impassable, like as it looked like you could not get by this guy. And his contributions to the team could never be overlooked. And again, that's all despite not winning a Prem. He still managed to win a number of other trophies during his time at Liverpool, and I think he's a true testament when it comes to ability and dedication to this sport. This honestly do. You can see his career from 1999. So he had a decade of service for us, played 317 matches, had 2 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, obviously won the Community Shield twice, won a UEFA Cup, won a Super Cup, won a Champions League, a great performance in that Champions League too, by the way, against possibly one of the best and greatest teams ever for AC Milan. Just an absolute gem of a player, in my opinion. That was one candidate. Again, not in any order. Okay. I know. We almost should, Nigel. I got you. He's saying, can we change it to an all-time Liverpool team? I got you. I will say this: Sammy is only he's one of the 2 selections that I've made from Liverpool on this list. Okay, so I didn't want to be too do that. To be too I guess biased, I guess you could say. The next on this list is Vidic. Look, I thought this player was a good player. Obviously, he was a token player for Manchester United. It's interesting when you look back at the career of this Serbian player, the Serbian powerhouse, I guess you could say, who, let's be honest, he, in the beginning of his career for Manchester United, struggled somewhat in the beginning to find his form, find his place in this in the United defense. However, once he settled in, which eventually he did, he became a very powerful presence. I hate to say that, but during that decade of almost a near decade of playing for Manchester United, he really started to shine. He did have some weaknesses that were definitely exploited by certain stellar players or opponents that he had. You know what I mean? I think where he struggled somewhat was because he did not have the pace of some of these other candidates that I'm going to mention. And he didn't have he wasn't really when he faced against Barros, or he faced against, especially when he faced against us, against, Torres, or even when he faced in in places where, European competition, when he faced a Samuel Eto'o, you could see the difference in his levels in not having the complete ability to have that shutdown range. But there was a time, reason why I brought this up was because there was a time when people were giving a real concerted shout to say that, VVD versus Vidic, who's better, and for me, I always believed that it was Virgil when it came to that case as well. Also, I'm going to make sure I include this part, because what's very interesting too is because I also doing some research on this, I also came upon Virgil and VVD did a piece together where they rated their all-time rankings. So was pretty interesting too, that they what they did with their rankings, and I have it for you. So I'm going to include that in a bit here. I'm going to make sure that I get that prepared for you here and rocking and ready for you, because it was interesting to see who they picked themselves. It was interesting to just see them. Truthfully, to me, it was interesting to see them kind of like, I don't want to say it was interesting to see them because they're talking when you got to talk about yourself. It's not exactly the most comfortable thing to do. Okay, it's definitely not the most comfortable thing to do. But again, all right. So, oh, I appreciate that, Nigel. I appreciate that for sure. I will definitely link up. We'll have to go out, have a pint, and hopefully root on our Reds. I'm definitely still, like I said, I'm in the process or highly motivated into the process of trying to find a place to buy actually out in Liverpool. Obviously, I would want to go and look at the places before this, randomly picking a place and sending over the loot to buy a place. So for sure. But okay, so we see that the trophies, obviously won 3 League Cups. He's won 5 Premier Leagues, which is incredible. That's an incredible stat. 5 Premier Leagues. He's had an FA Cup Community Shield, FA Community Shield 5 times. He's won UEFA Champions League in 2007, 2008, and won a World Cup, FIFA World Cup. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yes, and yes, I agree with you, JK. Those two guys both were very, very good. Very, very good. But for me, this next player was also very, very good. This is the representation I have for the Arsenal, for the Gooners. I think that for me right here, this guy was a better selection than Tony Adams. That's the reason why I included him. I know I said I was I didn't want to overlay in the list here. I just wanted to have a somewhat concise 8 guys to pick out 2, basically in the end. But when it comes to Arsenal, it's incredible. When you look back, the fact that Sol Campbell had a 17-year career is amazing. That is incredible. 17 years this guy played, and he had such an impact on the game. He won trophies for both Spurs. He won trophies for Portsmouth. But it was primarily his time at Arsenal that really stood out to a lot of people. And he was definitely their best defender on the teams that he played. It was crucial in Arsenal's unbeaten Premier League campaign where they have the Invincibles. He helped them win a number of trophies. Obviously, his contribution to the team cannot be overstated. That's obvious, okay? But he'll always be remembered as a beast of a guy, a beast of a man on the pitch. He was definitely a colossus when it came to, his presence on the pitch. In particular, the one performance that I would keep in mind is his performance in the 1999 League Cup, and I think in the 2008 FA Cup, I think were very important for a lot of Gooners out there because in those 2 games he helped perform. And I know Phil Jones. I know Phil Jones. I hopefully I had him. I don't know if I had him in that list. I should have put Phil Jones in there. I probably should have put Phil Jones in there. That's definitely my bad. But still all the same, I have because of those 2 performances, he helped prevent Manchester United from completing their treble, and even he helped prevent even them getting a quadruple at one time. So it's amazing how much he's got on him. As I said before, he's got a lot of different things. I showed how much his games won. He's got a 42% game win percentage, 31% for clean sheets. He's got obviously an FA Cup. He's got three FA Cups. He's got a Community Shield. He's got 2 Premier Leagues. The man balled out for sure. The man definitely balled out. 17. The fact that he has 503 games played, and the fact that he has 17 years played, that was just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible for this young man, for this individual for sure. This next guy, for Yapstam, I thought that he deserved to be in this list. There are some names that there are some names for on this list. I'm sure can be debated whether they deserve to be in my final 8. Well, deserve to obviously they deserve to be in my final 8 because they're my final 8. But if they deserve to be in a final 8, I'm sure we can have some discrepancies as to, I would have probably made him on that honorable mention list, and I would have probably bumped maybe, like you said, Phil Jones, like JK said, or some of the other ones, And yeah, Stamps, he played well for Milan too. I just have his time at Manchester United on here because I just have him for the 1998-2001. I had him playing 79 games for Manchester United. He obviously won 3 Premier Leagues, won an FA Cup, won a Champions League, also won an International Cup when we had those in 1999. Yes, and you're right, Dustin. Virgil does rate him very, very highly, extremely, extremely highly. Let's see. So I'm gonna make sure too, because I'm gonna hopefully be able to pull this up for you. And you know what? Too, this is what I'll do for you, rather than do it this way. So it's interesting because this player is beloved not only by Virgil, as was mentioned in the chat, but it was also this Yap is very beloved by Rio. Rio rates this guy incredibly high. He actually thinks that he's one of the few players. He's one of the few players that could play in any era. That's what Rio's assessment of this player was. I mean, obviously he played with this guy, so he has a real understanding as to like what this guy can bring and what he can do. So a lot of fans like him because he was a brute. He was played a very hard playing style. I think what made it so even more noticeable for this guy was that, for Stam at least, was that the center backs that followed in his wake always paled in comparison to him. He was undoubtedly an excellent player, played a crucial role in the team's success for at least 2 years. It's important to keep things in perspective and not get too carried away, though, because his legacy is certainly impressive. But again, he only has really 2 super solid years. I mean, if you're going to say something, then like a Jason Cundy said, this guy with the 2 years would be more so in that retribute. Nonetheless, he's a big part of why he does this. He's a big part of why Manchester United had a real run and on the Prem when they did. Now we're getting down to the crux of it, because I know you've seen I haven't named any people out there. And big up to LFC Aaron. I don't know if I said hello or not. Let's get down to it. These are some of the more coveted players. I know I said I didn't put them in any real particular order, but then again, I'm looking at this list and I'm realizing that some of the cream of the crop is a little bit more towards the end of this list. But that's maybe for dramatic purposes. John Terry. Jason Terry is a basketball player, but John Terry. Oh, wow. John Terry. Let's just get it. Let's just be honest. John Terry is undoubtedly one of the greatest defenders in the Premier League history. He was a leading part of some of Chelsea's most successful sides. And obviously he was a part of one of the best defenses of all time in numbers wise. He's one of the best defenses of all time. But he's got some wrongdoings in his life. They can't be ignored. I think that's definitely deflates his shine for his career. Unfortunately, I know people would say, well, let's just rate his play on the pitch, but I'm not really big on rating races. So on that take, it is what it is. But and I think that's been definitely documented as to his issues with being inclusive. But let's get it real. John Terry holds the record for the most clean sheets of any single defender in Premier League history. He also has the highest scoring. He's also the highest scoring defender in Premier League history, which shows he can utilize this going forward as well, playing in the back line. And in the 2014-2015 season, he played every minute of every game for Chelsea. And that year they won a Premier League title, which is a remarkable achievement for John Terry. I guess you could say somewhat regardless of his personal issues, which there are a good laundry list of being on there. There is no denying that on the pitch, he was a top-notch player. Again, 5 FA Cups, 5 Premier Leagues, 4 Community Shields, 3 League Cups. I mean, that list of trophies alone is freaking ridiculous. And the fact that he's got a 63% win percentage and 43% clean sheets, that's impressive. I have Vincent Kompany as the next participant on this list. Obviously, we had to do someone from the 115. Big up, Philip. Big up. Oh, and keep it level. Big up, keep it level. And Philip, good to see you both. Hopefully you can, catch up or chime in with this list, or hopefully you do get to see the entire list. For Vincent Kompany, again, for the 115, played from 2008 to 2019. I mean, that's a good 11 years or so for this guy. FA Cup twice, 4 Prems, 2 Community Shields, 4 League Cups, 63% winning percentage, 35%, 94 clean sheets. Guy was a baller, definitely a baller. Belgian, was not a Belgian waffle in any way, in any form when it comes to playing defense. I know I used the word colossus, but I mean, he was another true colossus on the field. I like comic books. But he was a real important part of why, City were able to do what they were able to do. He was the captain. He was a leader. I mean, he's a team legend with the way with some of his goals and such. He's a great player, but let's be honest. He missed a significant amount of time due to injuries. A lot of times due to injuries, and when he wasn't on the pitch, City struggled. So that is a testament as to how important he is to City, but certainly a testament of, let's keep it 100. He's had injuries that have kind of been on and off throughout his entire career that have, if anything, have taken away some of the some of the backing, some of the votes that I guess that would have been tallied in his effort to be in that pairing. But he's definitely a what could have been style player if he had just been able to stay healthy. Let's just be honest. If he was able to stay fit more often. Now, this next player here, we're at our 7th player. Look, this next player has often somewhat been called one of the GOATs. He's often been referenced as one of the best players of all time. He's also a prototype when it comes to a player that could possibly have played in any era. And I'm not just saying just in the Premier League era. He would have shined in life before the Premier League era. Okay. He's often looked at as being a Rolls Royce for, albeit a low budget, a lower level Rolls Royce of a defender, only because it's got the Red Devils. The Red Devils, red is the name on the registration. But look, he makes things look so easy. He made things look so easy on the pitch, and it's simply because of his incredible talent, his skill. He has an ability with the ball at his feet. He allowed a lot of various United players to get and do their thing. And despite having a lot of different teams target Manchester United as their team to go up against. Big up Rasta Crab from Bayesian Reds TV. Big up Rasta Crab, my guy for sure. El Tucho, aka, and Stefano. Big up Stefano, big up. I haven't seen you in a while, brother. Good to see you. He says Rio's banned for refusal to take a drugs test. Ooh, that's interesting. That is dodgy. And you know what? Yeah. It's during an era and level of time when, some of these players probably were taking some things that were questionable, to say the least. But again, later in his, let's just be honest with you. He was pivotal on not only Manchester United, he was a big time player for Leeds. Big time player. It's what really made him important in general, because he actually helped Leeds get to a 2001 Champions League semifinals, I believe, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was the 2001 Champions League semifinals. He helped Leeds get to, at least. And then later on in his career, he helped. He was the captain of Manchester United. He brought them to 2008 glory in Champions League. Primarily playing, he played really well in that semifinal where he basically, he made Barcelona attack go missing, especially when Vidic wasn't even there. He had to hold up the entire defense on his own. He was simply magnificent, and his contribution to the teams he played for will always be remembered by Red Devils, less so by us Reds. but all the same, Rio did some work. He's won the UEFA Intertoto Cup. He won the Prem 6 times. That's amazing. 6 Community Shields, 3 League Cups, a Champions League, a World Cup. Rio was a baller, even if he was riding the white pony, as someone might have just allegedly riding the white pony, as someone might have just alluded to. Last but not least, the reason why we got into this was because of Virgil van Dijk. Let me say this. I know this player who gave this quote is a divisional player, but I figured I'd pick a player that has played for both United and who's played for both United and Liverpool to kind of give a impartial take, okay, when it comes to this. And that kind of obviously gives it away as there aren't many players that played for both Manchester United and Liverpool. But the quote goes, I think he's the best center back of all time. He's bigger than everyone. He's faster than everyone. He's stronger than everyone. He's brilliant on the ball. He scores goals. I've never seen anything like it. That is a quote about Virgil van Dijk in 2022 by Michael Owen. I know it's a trigger word. That's why I was making sure that you understood, and I gave a little bit of the hints before that, But for me, you know what? It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing how Virgil van Dijk's move to Liverpool elevated Liverpool from contender to champion. We were certainly relative contender in the sense of we could make an honest effort to be a contending team. But there are certain players that can make you a champion. I honestly think that. And let me make sure I can show you. Oh, this guy right here is that guy. His presence completely transformed this team. But he was even named the PFA Players Player of the Year. He was named the Premier League Player of the Season at the end of the 2018-2019 campaign. He helped us win, us being right here, us being Liverpool. He helped us win our first league title in 30 years in 2019-2020. He was even more impressive, I think, in those years, to the point where there was Virgil van Dijk and everyone else. It was two categories. There was Virgil van Dijk and everyone else. He presented such an aura that players would avoid him on the pitch. I think it was the Argentinian guy. I'm gonna go blank his name. Lissandro. I'm gonna go blank on his name. But I remember in that Champions League matchup, I believe it was against Inter, the forward just avoided him. Brian, that could be Brian. That's Brian's honorable mention for Harry Maguire. I got you, Brian. But you know what's interesting is that even during the dip in time, it was like something where I just think that this guy was incredible, absolutely incredible at so much of a. And you can see, I gave all the accolades that he's made, but the fact that he's got 41% clean sheets, the fact he's got 62% game winning, he's made 228 appearances for Liverpool. Absolute stellar when it comes to the actual performances that this guy was really and honestly representing for this club, and that's just the honest to God truth when it comes to sheer brilliance. I think you really honestly got to say sheer brilliance. Now I'm going to bring up this here. This is something that keep it level. Who I was referencing was and Brian will probably hook me up too, because Brian's awesome at when it comes to remembering players and games and individual performances. But what is it? He's Argentinian. Initials are LM. Is it? It's not Martinez. Is it Lissandro Martinez? Is that it? No. I'm trying to think of who it was. La Tortora. Who is the player? Oh, it's gonna make me angry that I can't remember it off the top of my head. But he was the forward. He's the striker for I believe it was for Inter, and he just Lissandro Martinez, right? Is that who it is? I'll double check that. I'll double check it. I just really I particularly want to show you this right here though. I want to show you this right here. So, and I'll make it bigger for you. I know some of you guys are looking on your phones. So this is the list of who Rio. So I told you earlier, I alluded to it earlier. Yeah, La Toro. Just keep it level. Keep it level's got it. La Toro Martinez. Yes. He put him in his pocket in that game. Absolutely. To the point where you could see La Toro would not even go in his vicinity. He would like this. It was almost as if he had a force field around it. Oh, don't worry. Brian's cool. Brian didn't like me for a little while too, but it's all good. Brian's got love in his heart for every Red. It's all good. Brian's a good guy. And in the end, you know what? Like we're all Reds here. You know what? We're all grown adults. We're all good. I'm sure you're doing tongue in cheek, Nigel. But you know it's all love, Brian. I'm just busting your balls. But this was Rio Ferdinand's list of his top fives in Premier League history. They did a piece, so it was kind of awkward. It would kind of be like if you got who are the best Liverpool content creators of all time in the Premier League history or something like that, And I would be on the I had him in the list, by the way, keep it level, in the honorable mention. But it would be kind of like if I was on the panel and it was just me and like, I don't know, it's me and like Ensman, me and Ensman are on the broadcast and we're sitting there and we're trying to rate the top 5. It'd be difficult to not, to really give an accurate. But it'd be so funny because Rio Ferdinand put himself as the best on his own list. It's pretty funny. So yeah, Rio Ferdinand, and these are the other guys that he had as possibilities. He had Adams, Tony Adams, he had Carvalho, who I think I had him in my honorable mention, but if I didn't, then that would be a list too. Yeah, I know. If it was me and Tom Little probably would have him as number 1 for sure. I most likely would have still been on the bottom list there. But yeah, so Adams, Carvalho, he had Hippia, he had company in his possibles. But this was his top 5 on the list. This was Rio Ferdinand's top 5s in center backs in Premier League history. He had himself. He had obviously his running mate Vidic in second. He's standing next to Virgil and said that Virgil's the third. And he had obviously, I mean, it's not biased if anything that he has what three United players in his list. No bias. But he had Stam as his 4th choice. And he had some people have argued that John Terry could be the best defender of all time in Premier League history. He had him as 5th choice, as his 5th choice. Very, very funny selections, And then this was Virgil's selections. So Virgil made his own selections, and I think yes, LFC Aaron, those are good shouts. I'm gonna circle back and bring in some of your comments as well. This was Virgil's take. He had Virgil had Ferdinand as being his first choice. Notice Virgil didn't even put himself in the top 5. He said that he didn't feel comfortable rating himself in the top 5. That's what he mentioned in the broadcast, And what I said earlier was that the only 2 players other than Virgil that Ferdinand put as being able or having the physicality, the athleticism, the ability, the talent to play in any era were Ferdinand, Virgil, and Yap. Yap Stam were the only 3 players he said could even remotely get a shout to possibly be in that era, in that element or on that platform where they could play in any era. You understand what I mean by that? I'm sure, because a lot of the rules changes, a lot of like different interpretations in what you expect from certain from your players definitely evolved during the eras. I think personally, Brian might push back on that a little bit, but I personally think that there has been there certainly has been evolution to a lot of the roles that we normally stipulate are the roles for. I got you, Brian. Brian says listening to Rio Ferdinand is bad for your mental health. It can be. I mean, Ferdinand is also the guy that said at one point the Butcher is better than Virgil. This is obviously after they did this piece right here, but it was pretty interesting. It's very interesting. I'm going to try to make it over, Ends. I am going to try to make it over. I'm coming towards the end of the program here. It's come to the end of the program. So what I wanted to do here is I wanted to ask you guys, who do you think should be, who do you think makes the all-time Premier League center back pairing? We can pick 2 names. We can pick We can pick 2 names, and I'll rifle through these again. Big up if you guys are going to be going over to Ansman TV. Cool. Hopefully I can get over there before they start the quiz. If I can't, I'll just like participate in the chat for sure. But I'd like to know who you guys have as your pairing in here, and I'll show you the candidates. I see you guys putting in some of your choices as being such. Please, in the chat, we at least had about almost like 20 people in here. Please, whether you're watching on Facebook, or whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, please tell me, who do you guys have as your pairing? You can give 2 names. The 2 out of the 8 candidates. If you want to go out of like, you know, the out of the 8 that I choose, that's cool. You know, you can definitely do a write-in vote. But the 8 candidates that I have for you guys are Virgil van Dijk, Rio Ferdinand, Vincent Kompany, John Terry, Jaap Stam, Sol Campbell, Nemanja Vidic, Samia Hipia, and yes, Samia Hipia. And that's our thing, our take. Who do you guys have? Who do you guys think? Let me rock in with some of these. Let me rock with some of your comments to kind of get you guys in here. I Love Liverpool has Rio and VVD. I like it too. I like it. See, I mean, we're not partial. I like it because Stefano, who is a Liverpool fan, has it as Rio and John Terry. Okay, that's an honest perspective. He says Virgil needs a few more seasons at this level. Okay. It is difficult sometimes. I understand that Virgil, out of all the names I've mentioned, is someone that is still playing in his career and is going to be able to possibly add to his legacy. Dustin says VVD, Rio, easy, all leagues, all time, VVD, Nesta, Rio on the bench. Okay. Keep It Level has it as Terry and Rios at the moment. Okay. Terry and Rio. Okay. That's 2 votes for John Terry and Rio Ferdinand. And we have 2 votes for Virgil and Rio. Philip says VVD and Campbell. I like it. I say I like this. We're not being partial. We're being very objective and really giving a precise call. So VVD gets a shout and Campbell gets a shout. Let me move this to at least the honorables so that you don't think I'm trying to show any bias. And hold on one second. And then let's see. Stefano saying, sadly, it's hard to add Southampton form because those kind of teams play low blocks. And I agree with that. He said, let's let it out. Let's let it out. How's Matip? Matt, you think Matip could get? You think Matip deserves a shout as being in this list? He could maybe make honorable mention. I'm not going to go as far as to say that Matip deserves to be in the final 8. I'm going to go and say you obviously know who my vote goes for. I personally, when I'm breaking this down, I really rate the comment that Rio said on these 2 particular individuals, or on these center back these particular individuals in particular. And that is with Virgil and Jaap, he said that they could play in almost any era. And Gary Cahill, he could get honorable mention. I get that. That's showing love to Everton. I get you. But why I'm mentioning it in this fashion is I personally like the fact that he should and could have been, how can I even put it? I think that these players are players that could have played in any era. And I think that makes a difference. I don't think that some of these players could have had the levels that they had. They would have been still excellent players. I just don't know if they would have been able to be the elite of the elite players in every facet of the word. And I think with that said, that's why I kind of rate. I think I'm gonna go with Rio as being one selection, and I'm going to go with Virgil being the second. And I'm primarily saying, look, this guy is setting records upon records. I think that a lot of times, with a lot of the players, a lot of the circumstances, I think that Chelsea could have still won. I think personally, Chelsea could have still won a Prem without John Terry. I honestly do. I think that their team was and I think that even if it wasn't John Terry, the way that their ownership's group was or their owner was spending the way he was spending, he would have found someone, some way, somehow to play John Terry's role. I honestly think that would have happened. Hippie is a great guy, but I don't know if he's necessarily going to make the cut either. Vidic, I think he did. There's a big difference playing with a great, as to being the great. You know, like as in Rio was definitely one of the greatest of all time at center back. I think that Vidic was a talent in himself, but I don't think he makes the cut. Sol Campbell, definitely a strong shout for Sol Campbell. I rate Sol Campbell so highly. I think that if there is an argument to be made that he could be another player that could play on all levels or all eras, and the sheer fact that this guy played for, 17 years, that is just unheard of nowadays when it comes to, being able to have the longevity alone is incredible. Sol Campbell would hold bench on my 11. Is that fair to say? You guys give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Is that fair to say? Sol Campbell as a all-time 11 bench. Yap Stam. It's hard. I know it's difficult to rate all these guys. Yap Stam is definitely, he could probably be close. I think being that I have Rio and being I have Virgil as my starters, and I just gave Sol Campbell the backup role for one of those positions. Yeah, I know. I put Saliba in there just so that I don't know. It's a reach. That's why he's at the bottom of the list. But when it gets to it, and I'm getting up to the hour mark here. When it gets to it, I probably would have John Terry as my bench player. So in essence, I would have. I'll put it in the chat, or I'll put it as a listing here. I would have VVD. I would have Rio as starters, and bench. I would have Terry, and I would have Campbell. I know. Don't get too caught up on that. Yeah, I think that's an honest depiction, because Vincent Kompany, if he wasn't injured as much as he was injured, and he had a little bit better of his track record history when it comes to his career, I would have said yes. Okay, cool. He definitely, because I mean, having 4 prems, having being basically the talisman when it comes to pretty much the only really notable defensive player on City of note of recent history at least, or of their history. I get people can say Stones, some could even say maybe Diaz, but those 2 players are still playing, and I think that their history doesn't surmount to the levels that the players I've mentioned earlier do. Obviously Rio, and then there's Van Dijk. So am I too far off? Am I too far off base with this call? Do you vibe with it? Do you not vibe? Am I way off base? Tell me if I'm way off base. Tell me if you think that I was silly to put this guy as a starter, or I'm silly to have this guy on the bench. He deserves to start, or this guy deserves to be on bench, or maybe none of these guys are really there. Tell me, because I do have to. I know that they're probably waiting for me for the quiz, so I'm going to have to get over there pretty soon. But I want to obviously, first things first. You guys come first. So, yeah, I know Q Level saying Konate has done more than Saliba. We'll get past the Saliba. We'll get past Saliba. Pretend it wasn't even there. How about that? Stefano is saying reality is it was easier to defend in the old days, quote unquote old days. This is Stefano's opinion. He's saying changes to offside rules, handball rules, yellow cards, red cards, penalties for touching a player, etc. It's much more difficult being a center back now than it was being a center back then. Also, Ensman TV is going to be doing a quiz. I don't know what it's going to be on. It probably isn't even on football. It's probably on like crazy questions, probably like pop culture or something like that. Even true. Even the back pass rule too is big. Philip has it as his bench would be Terry and Vidic. I liked it. I like it. Philip has some really cool selections. Let me make sure he had VVD and Campbell, and he has John Terry and Vidic as being his bench players. You guys are more than welcome to throw in your bench players too if you want to do what I did and what obviously Philip and I believe who else did it? Someone else did it in the chat earlier, and that's the whole reason why I gave a bench. To be honest, I think Dustin did it. Yeah, Dustin said VVD, Rio, easy all times, but he says VVD, Nesto, and Rio on the bench if he was including all time for all leagues. But yeah, you know what? I think this is a good call. I mean, I don't know if you guys completely agree with it, but I personally think that this was a very good call on realistically what we should what I would see as being an all-time center back pairing. And I also think that honestly, I don't if we were doing around Mount Rushmore, would I have Sol Campbell as my 4th name on the Mount Rushmore? I don't want to second guess it. I don't want to second guess myself. Wow, I don't want to second guess myself here. Yeah, man. I'm like trying to figure it out in my head right now. It's bad. I gotta go. I gotta land the plane here, and I'm picking up some turbulence on the ride down. Do I want Sol Campbell as my 4th if I was doing a Mount Rushmore of Prem? It's difficult. It's very difficult. I'm gonna stick with it for right now. Maybe in the comments, please tell me if I'm right or am I wrong. Who you would have? If if I was right to even begin to question on my fourth choice. Always when it comes to the fourth choice, it always becomes like, I kind of did this, I kind of did that. But I think that this is a good representation. I mean, hey, look at it. It's got a Liverpool player, it's got a Red Devil, it's got a blue in there, and it's got a Gooner in there. So it is what it is. He's saying, well, you know what? Real quick, if we go out there, Elise, it just depends on how much they're asking, how much they're charging for the price. And also, when it comes to it, Dustin says, I rate VVD very highly, very, very, very high, to say the least, in best football players of all time. And he says, but I can't do the bench yet. It takes time. Yeah, man. I got you. I think it's a good shout. Make sure I include Brian's comment. He says, if it's an all Premier League 11, it's Rio and Terry. For Brian, as much. I put that vote in. I think I got that vote in. But as much as he hates to say it, and Brian's someone that I do heavily rate Brian's opinions on players, especially when it comes to historical measures. Let's see. JK said he went Virgil, he went Stam, Desale, Sol, Campbell, Rio, Terry, and Vidic. Okay. And he had I don't know if he gave me a final. JK, did you give me a final vote? I was just wondering. I was going to bring it up, make sure I brought it up. But look, I thought it would be a fun episode to have. I thought that hopefully you guys had a good time. I'm hoping that I wish I could go. We could probably talk on the subject for another hour or so. But again, I just happen to think that the pure lunacy by Jason Cundy with those statements, the pure, like, I would even go as far as the pure arrogance for him to say that. Oh, and yeah, you got to say that too, Dustin. He says VVD was the real winner of a Ballon d'Or over Messi. I definitely cannot forget that. That's something I often, and I feel sad and bad that I didn't put that in there, in that he should have won the Ballon d'Or that year. He was definitely, it would have been a historical moment. I think that unfortunately Ballon d'Or is a popularity contest. And, during that era, it was just Messi or Ronaldo, basically, and it's the reason why a lot of players got overlooked quite often in that era of football. But again, this is the list that I have. I think Jason Cundy is an idiot for saying what he said, but big up to Jason Cundy. You know what? You get clicks. You got some airtime on our channel, and I think, honestly, it just gets down to VVD and Rio are the best players I've ever seen play center back. And I think that it is a blessing and a true blessing that we've seen Virgil, who has said it himself, has finally believed that he's returned to the statures and levels that he necessarily needs to be the king of all defense. So yeah. It says, I agree if you keep it level. They are, I'm not going to say the last word, but I think Ballon d'Or are definitely rigged. They've engineered so many different ways to try to make it where they could do what they could do. And watching DVDs at its best was unreal. There was a time, again, like I said, when he says, yeah, I appreciate it. I got to get to my show, mate. All good. Big up BBD GOAT. Yes, for sure. I'm going to do it. I'm about to go live. I'm ready to do it. But again, thank you guys for joining me. I thank you for your votes. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for keeping the chat lively, and also being cool in the chat too, you guys. And most so, sometimes I know some people might say something that might trigger you or might get you angry. You know what? Just take a breath, take a second, recognize we're all Reds for the most part, I think, here. So yes, I mean, I want to make sure that we all just understand that point, that we walk together, you guys. You'll never walk alone. It should mean something to us. So I appreciate the fact that you guys tuned in, watched, contributed. Be sure to hit that like. Be sure to spread this around, share it. I hope that if this is your first time watching this, that you hit the subscribe button, that you share it with others. And again, we're on the road to 2 million. Let's say that. So let's get there. How about that? Appreciate each and every one of you. Big up to our captain, my captain, your captain, Virgil van Dijk. Big up, big up. I'll see you soon. Oh, and I will have an episode tomorrow, UK time, 7 o'clock. It's going to be a really, really fun episode in that there's something that I'm been working on. So in collab with Grizz, with GrizzCon and in Football Carnage. So I'm going to Carnage. So I'm going to be sending what I'm going to be offering tomorrow on my broadcast. It's going to be also something that Grizz is going to delve in on his platform, but I'm going to introduce it on our platform here, and that is basically it's going to be a real precise look at what we have, what the top 5 in this title race is really boiling down to, and it's going to break down in what I believe is going to make or break us this year. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to be out. I'm going to go, if you can, go to Ensman TV. If you're not already there, big up to each and every one of you, each and every time. Take care of yourselves. Be sure to take care of your other ones, your loved ones, the ones around you. That's certainly important. But first, take care of yourself, because having the ability to do so makes you have the ability to do the latter. And again, you'll never walk alone, brothers and sisters. And I appreciate you. See you tomorrow, 7 p.m. UK time. And until then,